Who is the most famous person in Korea? You could pick several politicians or idols, but if you ask them they will say Kang Jin, whose name in 100. To that extent, Jin Ho Kang created an issue on his own and was always at the center of the issue. There was also talk that if he made it to YouTube he would immediately hit 10 million subscribers. When Jin Ho Kang held a press conference, the entire nation turned to TV, the internet, and smartphones. People paid attention to how he would respond to the controversy surrounding his mother. And Jin Ho Kang's response at the press conference was shocking. Representative Myung Jin-wook is a senior member of the New Politics Party, chairman of the Pro-Hyo system, and is even mentioned as the next presidential candidate. But he declared that he would put an end to such a politician openly. It's like offering a bounty to a criminal, even putting up a tip-off fee. It is common to use money as a bait to dig up someone else's corruption. Therefore it was not surprising that Kang Jin-ho used such a method. However, it was beyond imagination to declare it to the entire nation. Besides, he's going to get rid of his family's corruption. The internet responded in real time. Exciting. Always new. Today's big jam, honey jam. Because this is why I can't leave Hell Josian happy face. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a family for a family. Now there is a riot in foreign countries. CNN, NHK and CCTV are also being released as breaking news. Wow. I'm crazy after Gangjin. It sounds like it's completely Yama money. Looking at his eyes, he looks really pissed off. What will happen? What's going on? One of the two members, Jin Ho Kang and Jin Wook Myung, will die. Doesn't anyone think that Representative Myung Jin Wook is going to be slaughtered? As a human being, you shouldn't touch your parents. I have been working as a keyboard player for 10 years and my second job is in the corner of the room, but I still don't do pad ribs. After the earthquake, my father passed away and I cut ties with his relatives and my mother was the only family I had. That's enough to make me roll my eyes. Acknowledge your anger? Admit it. I admit it, you admit it too. Even if I look at it, there is nothing to say about this, even if it is floating around happy face. The main character doesn't hide his filial piety. But why did Jin Wook Myung hide the concept? You're not the main character. It didn't end here. Jin Ho Kang turned the tip of her sword to the reporters this time. I've seen cheap articles well. He took my mother well to the golf course assault case committed by Kim Se-yeon. As you can see, my mother didn't even assault me and she didn't stand by when she was there. A reporter shouted. Aren't you in the same golf club? Are you sure you are denying that? Jin Ho Kang said while looking at the reporter. If there aren't enough people who played golf with Se-yeon Kim, there will be more than 10 people, so why is it that only my mother writes in the article? Seo Kang Jin, who is a public figure. Isn't my mother a public figure? The reporter continued to push the argument. People have a right to know. It is only natural for journalists to write articles for this, and there is no sanctuary there. Okay? Then shall we raise the tip and rob the parents? Shouldn't the public be aware of who caused the problem in your family or around you? The reporter was surprised by this. Reporters are not public figures. What is the standard for a substitute public figure? Journalists just treat them as public figures if they are famous. Then I will make you public. If you are confident, please tell me your name here. Kang Jin, who left the reporter unable to say anything and looked around the other reporters and spoke in a cold voice. I'll give you 3 days. Until then, take down irrelevant articles and correct the wrong facts. Then the reporters shouted in surprise. Are you going to stop journalists from writing articles? Can chaebols trample press freedom like this? This is press oppression. This has never happened in a dictatorship. Kang Jin-ho laughed at the protests from reporters. I am a person who conveys the fact of Gaza to the people. It's just stupid to make up fake stories that aren't based on facts. Any swearing at me in the newspaper, on TV or on the internet will be moderate. But I won't put up with my family. If you are okay with robbing not only yourself but also your parents, spouse, children and all your relatives, endure to the end. I will go all the way. The press conference room was quiet. None of the reporters said a word. After all, family is precious to everyone, Jin-ho Kang said while looking straight at the camera. The same goes for posts and comments posted on the internet, she said. I'll give you 3 days. We will use all means and methods to respond to any remaining posts after that. That is all. Kang Jin-ho's words turned the internet upside down. Until then, malicious commenters who had watched the press conference with joy were in shock. He had been enjoying watching someone else's house burning, but now the fire has spread to his own. If you were a bystander before, you are now a party. The malicious commenters did not discriminate between men and women of all ages. Very few of them had malicious intent, and most of them posted malicious comments to relieve stress or habitually because they were bored. There is no reason for people to insult people. Especially when you look at the comments on the article on this case, it was serious. Wow. Was her mom staying at the Ceylon hotel after the earthquake? She used to play golf every day. Oh. He's completely sympathetic to his son's money. You really need to search and confiscate everything. Surely there will be more cases of abuse. In a Chanel bag in a golf club, even though my son has a lot of money, he received it very cheaply. What did you do at that secret meeting? At night it's like a state guest house night. You go out to play and you must have attracted young men. I went in to book, but it would be so funny if Kang Jin-ho had a mother. Hee, I'm going to have a new dad soon after Kang Jin. Chuka chuka. The malicious commenters quickly deleted the posts and comments posted in the meantime. Portals and media outlets flooded with calls asking them to delete the post. The Neotin Customer Center, the largest portal in Korea, was completely paralyzed. Wow. I did it. What the hell are you doing that you haven't been in touch with for 3 hours? Pick up the phone, you bastards. Oh. It was easy to write, but why is it so hard to erase? Mom, you're doing too much with some cursing. However, once you delete it. I lost my ID and password, what should I do? I wrote that it was a mamchung that ate my son's spine, but I'm not going to sue for just this, right? Right. How old are you? Second 2. Say the world. I can't get married for fear of having a child like this. Just get a real education, nigga. Even if you are a criminal minor, what are your parents struggling with? Oh. Neotin, why can't you contact me like this? I'll be thrilled. I think I wrote a comment, but I don't know where or what I wrote. I'm going to the head office to delete comments now. Please delete my comment, TT. I will live with reflection for the rest of my life, TT. Because I'm white, I only use the internet at home, but if I get a call from the police station, I get kicked out of my house. Please save me. Is there any way to delete this at once? How can a person remember every single malicious comment he or she has sent? People's petition to the Blue House to erase malicious comments. Gajua. The same goes for the media outlets. After the earthquake, she declared that she would rob not only the reporter who wrote the article, but also her family, unless she deletes the wrong article and does not correct it. If it had been another chaebol, it would have been impossible to say anything because money was wasted and public opinion was showing. However, Jin-ho Kang is different. Money is money, but in the first place I didn't even care about public opinion. Journalists united in a statement of condemnation. I condemn the oppression of the press by CEO Kang Jin-ho of OTK Company. Strategy. President Kang Jin-ho's threats to reporters at a press conference were an act of oppression that the dictatorship did not even do. This not only infringes on the freedom of the press, but also deprives the people of their right to know, which inevitably causes harm to the people. What the media should look at is only the people, not the chaebol or the powerful. No matter what adversity and hardship we face, we journalists will fight to the end to tell the people the truth. However, at the same time, each media company deleted speculative articles related to Kang Jin-ho's mother at once, and also deleted all articles that marked the golf course assault case as Kang Jin-ho's mother. I made a small correction to the article that was completely wrong. It seems like he didn't want to DG even while shouting in front. Freedom of the press for me to discriminate against other people's families. It is oppression of the media to say that others are stalking my family. What kind of miracle logic is this? Giraffes are special. In the first place, this is the guinea pig's fault. What the hell did Kang Jin-ho's mother have to do with the golf course assault case? Politicians say they're going to lose the next election if they talk shit. These bastards just don't. He said that the pen is stronger than the sword, but he didn't take responsibility for it. It's cool to see the giraffes plunder. The giraffes are also giraffes, but the keyboard warriors and follicles in the corner of the room are also uproar. Suddenly the internet is getting clean. A word after a strong earthquake is 100 times more effective than a government public service advertisement. When Representative Myung Jin-wook tied the golf course assault case and Kang Jin-ho's mother and blew it up, there were many reactions from within the ruling party saying it was cool. As intended, the controversy over nuclear power generation went away, and everyone paid attention to the assault on the golf course. It also had the effect of gathering supporters of the ruling party and the supporters of nuclear disarmament. As there are not one or two politicians who have been victimized by Kang Jin-ho so far, Myung Jin-wook did not touch Kang Jin-ho without thinking. Kang Jin-ho had an extremely bad relationship with the Liberal National Party, while his relationship with the New Politics Party was not so bad. No matter how strong the earthquake, there is no intention of making all of the great two parties an enemy. Also, he is a big-time politician, and after Kang Jin-ho, he did not pay much attention to the controversy surrounding him in the political arena. If he had paid attention to that, he would have given the government a word before investing in nuclear power in Russia. If you've been in politics for a long time, your senses tend to develop. He expected some backlash and was well prepared for it. Rather, it was a good opportunity to instill the image of a true politician fighting against the chaebol. It was a really plausible plan. If Kang Jin-ho had targeted himself, his prediction might have been correct. By the way, why is he like that? Representative Myung Jin-wook, who saw the press conference, was surprised and could not shut his mouth. As it is said that fish cannot live in clear water, many things happened before he came to this place. Who in the world doesn't get dusty? Are you going to rob not only me but also my family? Even the same word has a completely different weight depending on who says it, when, where, and how. The fact that Kang Jin-ho did not protest from the bottom of the water and publicly announced it to the media meant that he was really going to end. In addition, Kang Jin-ho turned the media and netizens who posted some malicious comments as enemies. He had an attitude as if he was going to fight the whole of Korea. In any case, there was no way I could back out of this situation. Representative Myung Jin-wook also held a press conference. He shouted at the reporters, "It is the outdated behavior of the Korean chaebol to intimidate a member of the National Assembly who elected the people in this way to shut up. As this is a crime of special intimidation and obstruction of business, we will take legal action. I will never back down from these threats and intimidation. Folks, please protect this Myung Jin-wook." However, the reaction of the people who heard it was somewhat ambiguous. "No, even if you ask me to protect you, we want to protect you too. Wouldn't it be better to apologize for the pad lip first? I am a supporter of Representative Myung Jin-wook. My heartfelt advice is, go and get down on his knees before you get any more upset after the earthquake. Now is the last chance. Haha, leave it alone. I think it will be ripped off soon and decomposed down to the nano level. That's sad. Still, he was the next presidential candidate. No, what the hell did you use to touch your mother after the earthquake? Ha, if Jin-wook Myung leaves, who should I film in the next presidential election?" Supporters and protesters flooded with the New Politics Party headquarters. Opinions were also divided among members of the New Politics Party on this point. The opinion that Kang Jin-ho should be sued and the opinion that Representative Myung Jin-wook should apologize were sharply divided. Floor leader Jang Hyun-jun smoked a cigarette and fell into thoughts. If you are pushed back here, it's bad for the people to see. And Representative Myung Jin-wook didn't seem to want to step down easily. If you are a member of the National Assembly, risking money to rob the family's private life is clearly intimidating, and there are many illegal possessions. If you let this pass or bow your head, the authority of the National Assembly will fall to the bottom. While I was struggling to find a solution, Representative Park Chong-soo suddenly jumped in. Wow, that's a big deal. Something. Jin Hu-kong gathered members of her chaebol group. Huh. What happened all of a sudden? If there is a case of lobbying former and incumbent lawmakers of the new political party, I will rob them all. Floor leader Jang Hyun-jun was startled and dropped the cigarette he was biting. Such crazy. The National Assembly is a legislative body, and the laws proposed by the National Assembly directly affect business activities. As in the past, direct bribery has largely disappeared, but the method has changed, but politicians still give preferential treatment to companies and collect rewards. Asking for a job for their children, or receiving a large amount of salaries after their tenure as an outside director or advisory member of a company. If all these issues were to be denounced and accusations were made, where would any politician be in good health? When it became known that Kang Jin-woo was robbing the New Politics Party, many lawmakers could not hide their embarrassment. Immediately, a meeting was held at the party's headquarters. Cigarette smoke filled the small meeting room. The expressions on the faces of the members of the assembly who had gathered there were hardened. Everyone had the same thoughts in their minds. What the hell are we doing wrong? It was one member, Jin Wook-myung, who made the mistake, but the entire party suffered damage. This is not the first time Kang Jin-woo has faced a politician from the new political party. There was even an open discussion with Seoul Mayor Won Sang-hoon over the dormitory construction issue. But it was completely different from back then. Mayor Won Sang-hoon only suffered a blow to his image, and there were no major problems either morally or legally. However, Kang Jin-woo is trying to uncover the corruption of Representative Myung Jin-wook. In addition, while Mayor Won Sang-hoon belongs to the minority, Representative Myung Jin-wook is a key figure in the party, to the extent that he is counted as a pro-hyo chairperson. The prevailing interpretation is that the reason for not running for the party leader or not holding a key position is to prepare for the next presidential election. Naturally, the weight of the two politicians is inevitably different. If you look at the total number, there are more non-mainstream groups than mainstream, but the mainstream pro-hyo group dominates the party power and important positions. If Representative Myung Jin-wook loses or steps down, the influence of the pro-hyo group within the party will be greatly weakened. Therefore, the sense of crisis felt by the leadership of the new political party was also different. Public opinion was divided between those that Kang Jin-woo should be punished and that Representative Myung Jin-wook should apologize. Fortunately, from the perspective of the new political party, the voice of criticism against Kang Jin-woo was louder. It's only natural that he said he would rob prominent politicians and their families by using illegal means. The media pointed out moral issues, and civic groups held a protest in front of the OTK company headquarters. The problem is that Representative Myung Jin-wook should care about public opinion, but Kang Jin-woo doesn't have to. In a fight like this, the one who has a lot to lose is inevitably at a disadvantage. Floor leader Jang Hyun-jun remembered the first time he met Jin Hu-kong. At that time he even asked for a special request, but after the earthquake he turned the hearing room upside down and went back to reveal the corruption of the hearing members regardless of the opposition. Even though she was like that, she got to work again, so at this point she has nothing to say. Even she is criticized for not having the ability to learn. People sometimes see politicians saying or doing nonsense. When I was questioned about the fact that I was speculating on the land, I didn't make excuses for buying the land because I loved nature so much. I went to study abroad and assaulted the guide to take me to a karaoke room with a waitress. Doesn't he claim that he just accidentally touched the back of the head? Or that people in front of reporters say he's a pig? This happens because the viewing position is different. The higher a person is, the more he thinks he can control everything. In the eyes of the public, why would they want to go there? But politicians really think that it will make sense. That's the case with this one as well. Floor leader Jang Hyun-jun sighed with cigarette smoke. To cover up the controversy over nuclear denuclearization, you're shooting Jinhu Kang's mother. Anyway, as the incident had already occurred, someone had to step in and fix it. Floor leader Jang Hyunjun said while smoking a cigarette. I will meet Kang Jinhu first. Floor representative Jang Hyunjun visited the OTK company headquarters in person. In front of the building, New Politics Party supporters and civic groups were gathering and protesting. Stop inspecting politicians. Let's protect Representative Myung Jin-wook. Apologize after Kang Jin-hoo. Reporters were encamped around the area to cover the story. It is by no means easy for busy people to gather like this without doing their own thing. Just by looking at the uproar at the press conference, it was easy to see just how great Kang Jin-hoo's influence was. His car went straight into the underground parking lot out of sight. She was worried that she might not meet, but luckily Jin-hoo Kang came down to her meeting room. Floor representative Jang Hyunjun greeted him warmly. Nice to meet you, Seo Kang Jin-hoo. Good morning. Haha, how have you been? Yes. Long time no see. Why did you come here? After welcoming greetings, the floor leader Jang Hyunjun hesitated and brought up his story. I heard that you are in contact with companies related to the new political party. Kang Jin-hoo nodded her head without denying or turning away. Have the rumors spread already? Isn't that a bit excessive? I want to make a clean country without political and economic collusion, but where is it? Is there any reason you are doing this? Because Representative Myung Jin-wook is in the new political party, you have to take responsibility for it. No, this isn't some kind of sit-in system. Isn't it too harsh to assume solidarity responsibility for the same party? Jin-hoo Kang tilted his head at his protest. It's strange. But why did my mother take joint responsibility just because she was in the same golf club? Jin-hoo Kang continued to speak. And if Representative Myung Jin-wook wasn't a member of the new political party, would he have been able to do that? Recently, the ruling party was in a difficult situation because of the Kang Jin-hoo, and there was a lot of dissatisfaction with it. Therefore, it is true that many lawmakers agreed with it rather than stopped. However, I never imagined that I would ask for solidarity responsibility in this way. Didn't the old saying not to tell us not to live in the same heaven as our parents' enemies? She wouldn't know if my mother had done something wrong. She didn't do anything wrong, but she was criticized in the political arena, and she was shunned by the media. Wouldn't it be futile to keep watching something like that? Seo Jang Hyunjun did his best to persuade him. I fully understand that Seo Kang Jin, who was very angry from the position of taking care of my elderly mother. We will solve it somehow, so please give me a little time. As you know, what you said at the press conference is highly illegal. In fact, when you think about it, it's pretty absurd. There have been countless instances where politicians have inspected civilians so far. However, it is unprecedented for a civilian to inspect a politician even publicly. Jin-hoo Kang smiled. If I was going to step back and do it in moderation, I wouldn't even start in the first place. If there's a problem with my actions, I'm willing to be punished. Of course, before that, we must see the end with Representative Myung Jin-wook. That way, no one will ever think of touching the people around me again. If you don't like sparks, just stay out of the way. Her mouth was smiling, but her eyes were cold. Seeing that expression, floor leader Jang Hyunjun did not say anything. There is no room for compromise, so there is no point in convincing anymore. In the end, he turned to his feet empty-handed. The more money you have, the more enemies you have. The chaebols are also well aware of this fact, so they build friendships with the media and politicians and control them in various ways. In the spirit of breastfeeding a crying child, they give advertisements to the media, donate money to politicians, or invest in constituencies. But that's not my style. Taeyong nodded his head. Well then, giving milk to a crying baby will only make your habit worse. Representative Myung Jin-wook himself is a former lawyer, and his wife is currently a professor at a music school. His children are one son and one daughter. Her daughter is studying in the US majoring in violin and her son is currently serving in the military. Sanjiop said while looking at her related materials. It is generally clean. There's nothing big enough to take. If there was a big problem, I would have been robbed of the previous government. It looks like there is no big problem, but if you brush hard, nothing will come out, right? After the press conference, reports came from all over the place. Most of them had a lot of useless content and jokes, but there were some useful ones. Among the emails from Boston, there was a message that Representative Jin Wook Myung's daughter Nahi Myung drives a Porsche 911. Senior Sanjiop asked, "What's wrong with driving a Porsche?" It's not wrong. Still, if her daughter goes to the United States to study abroad and drives her expensive foreign car, wouldn't it be bad for the public to see her? You nodded at my words. Well then, in a world where being in the same golf club is a problem, betting on anything is a problem. Senior Sanjiop asked, "Isn't the report 100% true? What if something is wrong?" I laughed bitterly. Anyway, it's a suspicion or not. Taekyu continued to nod his head next to him. Well then, politicians also talk nonsense every day and then cast, otherwise, there's nothing we can't do. A report cannot be established with words alone and there must be evidence. But once the facts are confirmed to a certain extent, the report fee will be paid immediately. As soon as we paid the reporting fee for minor reports, the effect was immediately apparent. Wow. My friend reported it and got 5 million won. Wasn't it 10 million won? Families are half price. Even if it's not a big deal, I'll give you a tip. Really give it. He went to the same high school as Representative Jin Wook Myung's daughter when we were in high school. We cheated together and cheated. Can I report this? I am an employee of the community center. A person named Jin Wook Myung's mother came and said her son was a member of the National Assembly, and the public interest begged to do this and that and that. Please report it immediately. If you get it, isn't it money anyway? I am the son of Representative Myung Jin Wook. I want to get rid of everything I've been through, but the rest of my military life won't be messed up, right? My older brother advises, you should stab yourself before another successor does. The first person to receive a tip is the winner. Is there anything that can arrest Representative Myung Jin Wook? If it's 100 million won, that's great. These days it's only 1 billion won to win the lottery. If you have 10 billion, your life will bloom in one shot. Who pays the tax when the information fee is received? Will Kang Jin-Hu pay the tax instead? Report it as other income. Rumors were spreading that they had received a tip-off fee, and reports flooded into the OTK company. And the OTK company immediately announced the payment of the reporting fee for the purpose of preventing duplicate reports. My son smoked in high school, swearing and giving orders to his military successor, going to clubs often, booking with women, and enjoying a luxurious life in America. He received special privileges when entering a music college, forged as if he was doing volunteer work that he did not do, and submitted it as a study abroad document, etc. When reporters rushed in and asked about the facts, Representative Myung Jin Wook said nervously, "What's wrong with my daughter going to study abroad and driving a Porsche?" Then the reporter asked the question again. "But did you not take issue with the fact that CEO Kang Jin-Hu's mother is at the same golf club as Kim Se-yeon? What? Did you do it because you thought it was a problem?" I will not answer any further. Representative Myung Jin Wook posted on the face note, appealing for public support. This is clearly a political temple repression and killing outdated progressive parties. This is an act of complete disregard for the state and its people, and it is absolutely impossible in a country where the rule of law exists. People's reactions were mixed. It is absurd to bully a ruling party politician in this way. Arrest immediately after the earthquake and stop suppressing her progressive party. Haha, you like to kill the progressive party. You're a pro-North Korean leftist after Kang Jin-ho. What are you talking about? These bastards haven't been hit yet. If you have a conscience, think about what the Liberal People's Party has been through. Right? Wasn't the Conservative Party too far to kill the Progressive Party? Your Excellency is in the cell now, you bastards. Release the most honest President Park Si-hyung ever. Various civic groups and supporters of the New Politics Party filed charges against Kang Jin-woo with the prosecution on charges of special intimidation, obstruction of business, defamation and invasion of privacy. As the allegations are clear and serious, the prosecution immediately issued a request for attendance to Kang Jin-woo. As long as people live, they can go to the police station as many times as they want. But how long will it take to go to the prosecutor's office? Wouldn't that be the case with an ordinary person? But I don't know how many times this is already. The news was already broadcasting the breaking news. Appearance in the prosecutor's office after Gang Jin. Afraid that her mother would call and nagging her, she asked Ellie to go to her hotel. When I got out of the car, a photo line was installed in front of the prosecutor's office, and reporters with cameras gathered. Maybe my face is going live right now. The reporters held out their microphones and asked questions simultaneously. Do you admit that you paid the reporting fee? Are you going to keep doing it even if it is illegal? How are you feeling now? Aren't you going to withdraw your remarks and apologize? What do you think of the opinion of a political temple? Do you have anything to say to the people? I followed the ceremonial words of all the chaebol presidents attending the prosecution. I will sincerely investigate. As those who have been investigated by the prosecution will know, the actual investigation time is short, and it is only a few hours to sit still and wait. There may be a reason why there are so many case dividends per prosecutor, but there may also be a purpose to make people wait and leave the camp. It is also power that can make someone wait. Fortunately, there was no waiting and he was taken to the examination room immediately. Inside, an investigator was seated with a young prosecutor. I sat comfortably across from him. In the past, when I was being investigated by the prosecution, I think I was pointed out for having my legs crossed, but now nobody cares whether I cross my legs or cross my arms. The young prosecutor turned over the papers and asked me questions, and I acquiesced to the various charges I had been charged with. The investigation ended quickly as there was no dispute over the facts. Can I go now? You may be asked to attend several more times. Okay. After the investigation was over, the reporters were still waiting. Reporters rushed in and asked questions. Did you admit to the allegations? Please say something to the people. Some of the information disclosed are inaccurate and some objections are raised. What do you think about this? I said, looking at the reporter who asked the question. Or not? Yes. What is that? Don't reporters and politicians do it like they eat? I didn't make up the fact that I didn't exist, so how do I get a report like that? Another reporter shouted this time. Even if it is true, revealing your real name is defamation. Just as I risked the loss of my family because I am a famous businessman, I believe that Assemblyman Jin Wook-myung is also a famous politician and will be willing to bear the damage to my family. People's right to know will be more important. Do you think it is right to indiscriminately attack not only politicians themselves but also their families? You may be punished for this. Looking at the logo on the microphone, it is the progressive media side. I laughed bitterly. If there is anything to be punished, I am willing to be punished. And soon I will file a complaint with the prosecution based on the report. Representative Myung Jin-wook himself is a member of the National Assembly, so he may have immunity from immunity, but his family will not. Reports kept pouring in. Reports from the military are also substantial. Myung Jin-wook's son Myung Jae-sung is currently a sergeant in the army. As in the past, many politicians' sons evade military service have disappeared. As people's awareness has increased these days, it is a trend to send the army as much as possible. What is the first question you ask when you join the military? It's about who your parents are. And depending on the answer, the treatment is completely different. If you have a father who is a senior member of the ruling party and a politician who might become the next president, You will be given various preferential treatment whether you like it or not. It's just one truck. Sanjeop Sr. said. There is no problem in Korea as sensitive as the military. Even if he tolerates all other injustices, he can't stand the military. The reason is, of course, that anyone is forced into conscription. Where are the celebrities and politicians who got hooked at once because of the military? An entertainer left the country just before he wanted to go to the military and changed his nationality, but was unable to return to Korea for the rest of his life. And a presidential candidate who was a strong candidate was defeated after the issue of his son's exemption from military service arose. Several reports came from Boston as well. One of them was a video. Senior Sanjeop, who looked at the video first, showed it to us. Students of different races gathered and played music and drank alcohol and had a party. Is it a potluck party? A female student who looked Korean put a cigarette in her mouth, and at that moment Senior Sanjeop stopped the video. That girl is the daughter of Representative Myung Jin-wook. If you look closely, they do look a bit similar. Is smoking a problem? Look closely. It's not cigarettes, it's marijuana. In Massachusetts, where Boston is located, recreational marijuana is legal. So smoking marijuana at a party is not a problem at all. However, this is only about when you are an American. If you go to Rome, you have to follow the Roman law, but Korea adopts personalism, so when you go to Rome, you have to follow the Roman law as well as the Korean law. Whether marijuana is legal in Massachusetts or not, it is illegal in South Korea. It is also illegal for Koreans to go to a country where it is legal. As the evidence is solid, this will surely become a problem if it is tripped over. There is a legal problem. We pay 50 million won to the informant and release the video. Mosaic in moderation on the face. Sanjeop Sr. said. Actually, marijuana doesn't even fit in the drug shaft. So many states in the US legalized it. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it's illegal in Korea. The important thing is that the daughter of a powerful politician was drugged at a party. She was herself. Taekyu nodded his head eagerly. Well then, if the video is released, the jurages will take care of the rest. New political party lawmaker Myung Jin-wook's daughter inhaled drugs at a party. Representative Jin-wook Myung's daughter, the drug controversy following Porsche. Related video released. Waves, waves, waves. Representative Jin-wook Myung proposed a bill to strengthen punishment for drug offenders in the past National Assembly. Testimonies of inhaling marijuana several times have continued. I'm envious of the informant TT. I was craving for 5,000 with just one video TT. It's so easy to make money. Hey, my father is proposing a law to punish drug offenders, but my daughter is going abroad to take drugs. The house looks good. I sent you to study abroad to study music, driving a Porsche, living a luxurious life and drinking drugs at a party. What kind of party was that? I wonder. After drinking and taking drugs, what's next? Isn't it obvious? Do you have any pictures of Representative Myung Jin-wook's daughter? Has exist. In the past, Representative Jin-wook Myung posted a family photo in a face note, and her daughter also made a face note. It's private now. Still, there are many if you search the internet. You should be summoned to Korea for drug testing right now. That's right. You should never be seen as a powerful politician of the ruling party. Representative Myung Jin-wook, who saw the article, called his daughter and shouted. You sent you to study abroad, what the hell are you doing around here? What? Drug? Even if you paint Abby's face, it's still oily. Her daughter cried and said, Oh no, Dad. I didn't really do drugs. Then what is that video? A friend gave it to me while I was drunk, so I just put it in her mouth for a second without thinking. But spreading it all over Korea? Ha ha ha. The daughter, who was making excuses for her, burst into tears as if blessed with her feelings. If she thinks soberly, she's not that big of a deal. Even if they are classified as the same drug, marijuana and methamphetamine are very different. As it is a first-time offender, even if he comes to Korea and undergoes an investigation, it will be limited to probation or probation at best. But then what? The public's mouth has the power to create facts that did not exist and to make people believe that things that are not are true. His daughter has already been stigmatized by the entire nation for going to the United States, enjoying her lavish lifestyle and doing drugs at parties. The tag will follow him throughout his political career. Hyuk hyuk, rumors spread among Korean international students, so I can't even go to school right now. The kids here all smoke marijuana, so why am I the only one doing this? How am I going to live now? Ouch. Hearing her daughter cry, her anger soared and her head felt like it was going to explode. There have been countless times when I have been subjected to a political offensive, but touching my family like this made me go crazy. Reporters flocked to the National Assembly and pointed their microphones at Representative Myung Jin-wook. Do you admit that your daughter was drugged? The conservative group is going to accuse your daughter of drug abuse. What do you think? Representative Myung Jin-wook said it was unfair. Her daughter said she took it knowing it was a cigarette, took a momentary bite in her mouth and didn't inhale. This is defamation and invasion of privacy. As a father of a daughter and not a politician, I feel miserable. I will definitely hold you accountable for this. However, this explanation sparked more controversy. Hey, he said he just bit his mouth and didn't suck. What is the difference between drinking and driving but not drinking and driving? These cubs who got caught while doing heroin only poked a syringe filled with drugs into their arms, but didn't press it. If you are so confident, come to Korea and ask him to take a formal drug test. Gee, her daughter makes her lavish life in America a dope party, and what the hell is she going to do with politics for the common people? She was once a big fan of her, which is really disappointing. Read more at wuxiax.com. Myung Jin-wook bows his head in front of the people and apologizes. Representative Myung Jin-wook was busy devising countermeasures. As the charges against Kang Jin-woo were certain, we expected the prosecution to come forward strongly, but the prosecution did not show any movement after one summons and investigation. Although he drew the attention of the whole nation, he did not even give a press briefing, and he firmly asked questions from reporters. It was as if he wanted to avoid getting entangled as much as possible. He is negotiating with the party and trying to settle the controversy over his daughter, but it doesn't end there. This time an article about his son popped up. Member Jin-wook Myung's son, controversies over various privileges while serving in the military. Go on a reward vacation once a month. What are the opinions of military experts? Confirmed that he freely used the extremities during business hours. I am working as a duty soldier who is not in the TO. Was there any external pressure in the background of flower position? Affiliated unit commander explained that he chose the battle boots because he was amazingly good at it. All guerrilla training and cold weather training are absent. I'm not feeling well, so without having lunch, use PX several times. What? Do you not eat rice and eat frozen food from PX? This bastard can't. Don't you know that eating out is a loss of combat power? I have to send this to you. You said you slept on your back while standing up all the time? This is all so young. Originally, it was said that he was on a night shift until he was a private, but isn't it strange that he was the only one who stayed on the watch list? What are the 3 on-duty officers? Is it possible to clean 1 pair of combat boots for each person and supervise 1 person? How many times did that bastard go on vacation? Why are there so many reward vacations? These days, the sons of politicians say they are doing well in the military, but in the end, this is what it is. Some people go to good places because they are good at cornering, and some people go on duty because they are good at combat boots. If I had met my parents well, my military life would have been easier. I got hit by the paratroopers because I'm a dirt spoon, you bastards. Rep. Jin-wook Myung looked clean, but it's filthy. Is it okay if only your son sends flowers? I am a mother who has sent 2 sons to the military. While your son is serving in the military in a comfortable place, our children are being trained to roll barefoot. It breaks my heart to think that this is because of parents who don't have everything. I thought Representative Myung Jin-wook was a politician for the common people like us, but you are just like other politicians. I am also a father who sent his son to the army. We need to take this opportunity to investigate the actual conditions of the military service of the sons of politicians. Which unit, what position, how many vacations did you take, and did you receive any special favors? Yes. Before that, let's sing a chant from Jinwook Myung's son. Myung Jinwook's son is Young Chong. Myung Jinwook's daughter is a cage. And Myung Jinwook is a bamboo shooter. Lim Yuri. Representative Myung Jinwook, who saw the real-time pouring of articles and public opinion, could no longer hold back his anger and shouted, "Jin Ho-kong, you bastard!" A spokesperson for the new political party spoke in a strong tone in front of reporters. It is clearly illegal and violent to defame a politician's family by raising a tip-off bill. This is an act that undermines the foundation of democracy, so please stop it immediately. The new political party is taking this matter seriously, and we will take a strong response at the party level. The Liberal People's Party did not make a statement. It's refreshing to see the new politics party suffer right now, but they can't stand on either side because they think they can suffer the same at any time. Kang Jin-woo refuted the announcement of the new political party. A politician can attack my family, but can't I attack a politician's family? If my actions really undermine the foundations of democracy, I will leave this country. Even if that happens, I think I will end up with Representative Myung Jinwook before that. At this remark, Korea was once again taken aback. He has the greatest wealth in human history, and that wealth continues to grow. Depending on which country he goes to, the global economic landscape may change. The Blue House and the new politics party were in a difficult situation. Representative Myung Jinwook convened a pro-Hyo group and requested a party-level response. The pro-Hyo community put pressure on Representative Myung Jinwook to save his life, but the party's response had to be limited as it was threatening that Kang Jin-woo could leave Korea and was digging into the corruption of the members of the new political party against large corporations. Floor leader Jang Hyun-jun mumbled while smoking a cigarette. If Jin Ho-kong is in Korea, it's a problem, and if Jin Ho-kong leaves Korea, is it a problem? It sounds like a pun, but the current situation in Korea really is. It is a burden for the whole country to be swayed by the presence of a strong earthquake, but it is a greater burden if the economy is shocked or the growth rate declines due to the departure of the earthquake. The reason for this is that OTK companies' share in the Korean economy is too large. Although it is an American corporation, it is having an impact on the overall domestic economy and is leading a new industry based on technology and capital. Although there are only a few direct businesses, the ripple effect is enormous. If Jin Ho-kong left Korea, what would happen? Shock remarks after the earthquake reveal the possibility of naturalization. K-company CEO Park Sang-yeep confirmed contact with US, Russian, Chinese, and Australian embassies. I won't tell you why. Americans strongly hope for naturalization after the earthquake. Possibility of Kang Jin-woo leaving Korea. Korea swayed by money. The government and the National Assembly must not be swayed by the tyranny of chaebols and businessmen. The media and the internet debated what would happen if Kang Jin-woo left Korea. If I was Jin Ho-kong, I would have changed my nationality sooner. Why the hell do you have to be in Korea with something like that? It seems that developed countries want to attract after a strong earthquake. We are actively contacting you, not as much as you want to. Think about it. Now, after Kang Jin-woo, there are rumors that his assets alone are $1 trillion, and how much more will he earn in the future? Wow. Tired, that's more than twice the national budget for 1 year. If you bring one person after the earthquake, the country's GDP may change. What's even more surprising is that this isn't a joke. From Kang Jin-woo's point of view, it would be better to take this opportunity to change nationality altogether. Why are you fighting politicians in Hell, Josian? Isn't there such a thing as going to another country? If it's about the same size after the earthquake in the first place, it's bound to be a problem no matter where you go. Still, like Korean politicians, you won't be fooled by conservatives and liberals. What happens if I leave after the earthquake? Isn't Korea ruined? Is that possible? It's just that stock prices go up and down, real estate goes up and down, the exchange rate goes up, the economy stagnates, and the economic growth rate is negative. Doesn't that mean it's ruined? Sanjiop, who had been playing with not much to do these days, was busy without even opening his eyes. This is because team leader Jong Ki-hong filters out the information he received regarding Representative Myung Jin-wook and uploads them first. And then Sang Yeep Sr. analyzes the facts the second time. Myung Jin-wook's wife Kim Soo-yeon is a professor of music. You know that in the past professors of music colleges gave high-cost tutoring to students who were admitted for admission. And that became a problem, right? Expensive tutoring? Usually at social gatherings they introduce alyumalium, but the basic price is 2 million won per hour. And in some cases they give more than 100 million won for a year. Given that much, it seems to have a big effect, right? Sanjiop Sr. said. I don't know how much my skills will improve, but it will be of great help when I see the actual performance. If the guy who ate salt turns on the water, why don't you pay hundreds or tens of thousands of won each and give more points to the kid he tutored? When the problem broke out, only professors at national universities were punished for violating the Civil Service Act, and Professor Kim Soo-yeon was a private school, so I avoided it. Even though there is a possibility of violating the Academy Act or the prohibition of concurrent positions, it seems to have passed moderately. It is a matter that can affect the fair entrance examination, but it cannot be done. I'll have to listen to it again and cover it up. There were some problems when sending her daughter to study abroad. The professors of the College of Music wrote me letters of recommendation, and they are all professors related to Professor Kim Soo-yeon. And there is a high possibility that the volunteer work documents were also falsified. According to the report, on the day she went to volunteer, she went to Yosu with her friends and she posted it on her face note. Taekyu said something. SNS is a waste of life. Sanjiop Sr. continued to speak. It is a common practice to say that you did volunteer work that you have not done in Korea, but foreign universities take it very seriously. If it's true that the falsification of the documents is true, I could expel you. I clicked her tongue in pity. If there is a rule, there is nothing we can do. Taekyu continued to nod his head next to him. Well then, you have to follow the rules. There was also a report that the son of Representative Myung Jin-wook harassed his successors. It wasn't harsh, it was said that it was common in the military, but again, if you make it a problem, it will become a problem. Representative Jin-wook Myung's daughter, the study abroad process is not clear. Recommended documents by professors of music colleges. Is it possible that the mother is involved? The falsification of volunteer work documents turns out to be true. Professor Kim Soo-yeon, wife of Congressman Jin-wook Myung, reignites the controversy of high-cost tutoring for former music college admissions students. New facts that were not revealed in the investigation at the time are revealed. Member Jin-wook Myung's son, suspected of being a gangster to his successor. Investigation of abusive behavior in the military prosecutors unit begins. Public opinion deteriorated over time. Even when Kang Jin-woo raised the tip, public criticism against him was much higher. Many people protested that she offered money to shoot a certain politician, and civic groups and supporters held large-scale protests in front of the OTK company headquarters every day. But now, the voices of criticism against Representative Myung Jin-wook were not too strong. She has to summon her daughter to Korea as a drug dealer, reveal every detail of her son's privileges in the military, investigate her wife's expensive tutoring, and so on. Rumors spread that Kang Jin-woo was looking into the history of real estate transactions and even the cases he took over. Even though it is a matter that has already been verified several times in hearings, etc., it is saying that anything will be caught. In addition to that, he now scans around his father and mother. Based on the facts revealed so far, this is not a big problem. In other words, they are the things that are the problem. There were even cases where the facts were wrong or impossible to confirm. But it wasn't necessary or not. It wasn't that they fabricated it and they were wondering what to do about receiving such a report. From the point of view of Representative Myung Jin-wook, it was ridiculous. It's just the way politicians use it, and it's even his own way. There is no connection between the golf course assault case and Kang Jin-hoo's mother. However, the fact that he stayed in a hotel and played golf was enough to arouse the public's emotions. If you do an investigation by raising allegations of favoritism and abuse, something is bound to come out, and even if you don't, that's okay. By then the public's interest would have cooled. However, it was hard to come to terms with the opponent coming out in the same way. No matter how much protested by the New Politics Party and civic groups, Kang Jin-hoo did not pretend to listen. He couldn't sleep properly for several days because of the news that broke out from day to day. And there was no sign of these days ending. Articles will be coming up even at this moment. Jin-wook Myung looked back on his political career. He went through a lot of things before he got to this position. He was tortured while working for a student movement, and was arrested for fighting a military regime. There were several crises that almost ended his political career. He overcame all those things and came this far. But this crisis was different. The Blue House Civil Affairs Office cancelled Representative Myung Jin-wook from his candidacy for the Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy, and the new political party began reviewing procedures to get him out of the party. Running for president is not something you can do alone. There should be enough support within the party. As he belongs to the mainstream within the party, his support base was members of the New Politics Party. The moment he left the party, it was self-evident that he would become a kite to fall off the string. Members of the House of Representatives who had previously been anxious about not being able to build friendships with each other, began to distance themselves one by one. I could feel my position in the party getting smaller and smaller. Previously it was a battle of who wins, but now it is a matter of survival. There was a fear that if I took one more step back I might fall off a cliff. Am I going to end up like this? Even the president now has only one step to go, and he just rolls down after the earthquake for blaming her mother. It couldn't fall apart like this. He had to somehow get over it. As always, there must be a way. Are you okay? He shook his head at the voice he heard. Members of the congressman's office stopped working and looked at him with concern. I'm fine, keep doing what you're doing. At that moment he felt something strange. The aide who had been with him the longest was nowhere to be seen. Who is Han Sang-hyun's assistant? I got a call in the morning saying I was sick and wanted to rest. Right. He stopped trying to nod his head. Are you sick? I was fine until yesterday. In an instant an ominous feeling ran up his spine. It was good to say that this was a characteristic of a politician. Where are you now? The aide widened his eyes as if he did not understand English. I will be at home. But do you have any urgent business? He immediately found his cell phone and called. The call continued, but it was not easily connected. Please take it. Fortunately, after several calls, the call was connected. Senator. What's going on? I heard you are sick, are you okay? Oh yes. I'm a little sick, so I'm resting at home. His voice trembled as if he was nervous. Besides, seeing other people's voices around, it was clear that it wasn't the house. Representative Myung Jin-wook shouted. Where are you now? Say it right now. That. After a while another voice was heard. He pretended to be friendly. Oh, my Representative Myung Jin-wook. Nice to meet you. How are you? The moment he heard the voice, the ominous feeling turned into reality. Everyone, who are you? My name is Park Sang-yeep. Park Sang-yeep. It's an unknown name. The CEO of K Company, a subsidiary of OTK Company and right-hand man of Jin Ho-kong. But why the hell is this person answering the aide's phone call? Assistant Han Sang-hyun said he had something to say, so we were meeting for a while. What? Even if you report the possibility of being stripped of a member's office, it's a whopping 1 billion won. If you report a possible arrest, 10 billion won. It may be a penny for her after the earthquake, but for someone it is money that can change her life. Park Sang-yeop said, kicking his tongue. Then why did Jin-Hoo touch her mother? If she woke up after the earthquake, it wouldn't have been a big deal. He felt his eyes turn yellow and dropped his cell phone on the floor. Jin-Hoo Kang revealed that her side paid 1 billion won to her anonymous informant. At this news, the price fluctuated. Wow. Great. It's been $1 billion. Totally won the lottery, life is reversed, happy face. Minus 1 billion won is the tip for the deprivation of the parliamentary position. What did you report? Does that mean that Kang Jin-Hoo has obtained information that could deprive Representative Myung Jin-wook from his office? Are you going to blow up Representative Myung Jin-wook by making this public? Haha, I remember when you and Chairman Han Min-koo flew away a while ago. It's just a lie. I also know that you paid the reporting fee. Amid differing opinions, Representative Myung Jin-wook volunteered to hold a press conference. Reporters were surprised to see him entering the press conference room. His skin was flaky, the area around his eyes was puffy, and his eyes were red and bloodshot. In less than 10 days he looked like 10 years old. Representative Myung Jin-wook, standing in front of the podium, spoke in a calm voice. First of all, I am sorry for causing concern to the people. Everything that has happened recently is the Sochi of my vice. We drop all of her accusations against Kang Jin-Hoo, and we sincerely apologize to Kang Jin-Hoo and her mother who must have been hurt by her. As of today, I will retire from politics and return to the wild. I will take responsibility for this matter, leave the new political party and resign as a member of the National Assembly. Once again, I would like to express my sincere apologies to everyone. It was not a simple apology, but an announcement of his retirement from politics. Reporters who were present as well as the people who watched the broadcast were surprised. Is it true that CEO Kang Jin-Hoo obtained information that would disqualify her from being a member of the parliament? Have you ever been threatened? Tell me what happened. Although reporters asked questions, Representative Myung Jin-wook left the press conference room with her mouth firmly shut after saying she was sorry. Only after Representative Myung Jin-wook announced his resignation as a member of the National Assembly did Kang Jin-Hoo stop the offensive. Judging from the fact that he paid 1 billion won, it means that he has obtained evidence that will deprive him of his office. There have been several theories about this. I took a bribe, found a borrowed name, it's a woman's problem, I have a child out of wedlock, etc. However, since Kang Jin-Hoo did not announce it, it remained a mystery until the end. Politicians who saw this were astonished. By sprinkling billions of dollars in tip-offs, they eventually blew up a member of the National Assembly, who is considered a key figure in the new politics party and the next presidential candidate. Representative Myung Jin-wook is a representative pro-husband and is a key figure connecting the Blue House and the ruling party. Since such a person was forcibly retired from politics, there was a major change in the power structure within the party immediately. Key figures in the Blue House expressed discomfort, and the new political party tried to prevent internal strife. However, everyone refrained from commenting directly on this matter. Although the action after the gang was clearly illegal, it was Representative Myung Jin-wook who started it first. As Jin-Hoo Kang said, it is arrogant to argue that politicians are allowed to touch the family of businessmen, but businessmen should not touch the family of politicians. And if you and your family were really clean without any doubts, this would not have happened. Is there really such a politician in the world? Many people found it refreshing, but the voices against it were not formidable. One political expert expressed great concern, saying, "Now who can blame Kang Jin-Hoo in Korea?" In any case, the politicians and the media realized one thing for sure. That is, even if you touch Jin-Hoo Kang, you should not touch the people around him. Media outlets all stopped trying to reveal the identity of OTK Company's vice president, investigate Kang Jin-Hoo's mother, or write sensational articles about Ellie Kim. The internet is also clean. After the earthquake, swear words, obscene rumors, ridicule and criticism about the people around them all disappeared. I went to the hotel, met her mother and walked outside the hotel, drinking coffee with President Lim Soo-mi. You did a really good job on this one. The women of the Chaebol family who are trying to make friends with their wives must have come to their senses. Her mother regained her strength thanks to Soo-mi Lim and Ellie's comfort. She says that not so long ago she came to play golf reluctantly when she was drawn by the people around her. I'm in debt again. At my end, she said as she drank her coffee. Don't say that. As it was done for me, not for CEO Kang Jin-woo. It's not easy to find like-minded friends at this age. As I was walking, I arrived in front of the M-Pizza store. It's not as successful as it was when it first opened, but it's still in business. Not long ago I also called Jaegwa Kim and the Payu branch is also doing well. I paid back almost all the money I borrowed when I opened the business. It will be quiet for a while. There is no law that prevents something similar from happening again in the future. The reason this happens repeatedly is because politicians are not very good at learning. When you have power, you tend to feel that you can do anything. I smiled bitterly. Well then, we have to look at the situation again and respond. We took a break for the weekend. I sat on the sofa and looked at the mail that had piled up. Ever since we moved into this house, all kinds of VIP invitations have flown in. These are things that gather VIPs at hotels or department stores and hold events to reveal new products or new lineups. Even if the economy is difficult, the gap between the rich and the poor has widened and the wealth of the rich has increased. So products aimed at the upper classes will continue to pour in, said Ellie. She said, the new Birkin bag is coming out. Okay. I received an invitation. In Korea, this is the first time that it will be released, but it is said that reservations are given to those who attend the event first. The price is $30,000. Team was surprised. Hey, what is the price of one car for one bag? What's even more ridiculous is that it's hard to buy even with that money. If the waiting period is short, it is 6 months. If it is long, it is 2 to 3 years. Even so, you and I can't afford to buy it. Why? If you take a lot of pictures and sell a lot, don't you make a lot of money? It's kind of like hunger marketing. If you say it's rare, it makes you want more. If VIPs buy a limited quantity first, the product itself becomes a wealth listing. In this way, the public who has the purchasing power will buy both of you. However, if it becomes too common, there is a risk that the image will be lowered, so the luxury brand sells it in an appropriate quantity. Isn't it time-consuming for a skilled leather craftsman to make each stitch by hand? It's just marketing. After all, it is a standardized industrial product. Adding a handmade image here for nothing is a masterpiece to justify the high price. In the first place, there is no guarantee that a human hand is better than a machine, so what does it mean for a human to sew? Takyu thought for a moment and then he said, but wouldn't it be better for a craftsman to make the same Japanese swords? It is also an illusion created by the subculture. If I have to hit it with 100 blades, why not just pull out good iron with a machine and roll it? Takyu was surprised at my words. What? Was it all a lie? Well, if you make it like that, it will have value as a cultural asset. It will never be used in practice. Well, it's not like I'm going to take it to the battlefield and charge bonsai. Seems like it might be possible in Japan. I asked Ellie. Don't you want a Birkin bag? Ellie shook her head. Won't your mother like it more than me? Shall we buy one first? It's cumbersome to go directly, so should I ask Sanjiop-senpai? If you go to an event like this recklessly, you like it if you ask for it. In addition, there are many invitations from automobile, watch and jewelry brands. Ellie took one of them out. How about this? It is a jewelry brand called Fjord. The date is today, let's go together to change our mood. We changed into suits. In the meantime, Ellie, changing into a pale yellow dress, turned around in front of me. How is it? Fit well. I nodded. Pretty. Even though she was face to face every day, her heart seemed to be pounding. She realizes it all over again, but Ellie is really pretty. After finishing the preparations, we got into the car and headed to the hotel in Cheongdam-dong. The event manager, who was informed of the attendance in advance, came out to the front door of the hotel to greet us. Thank you very much for attending, CO Kong Jin-Hu. Thank you for the invitation. I took Ellie's hand and entered her hall. Many people were already gathered inside. Those who were talking to each other at our appearance shut their mouths in surprise and turned their gazes to us. Jewelry was displayed throughout the hall. Jewels that were illuminated were twinkling. Taekyu glanced around and said, "Do you have anything to buy my sister? He's a good little brother who can think of his older sister. How about buying it for Min Ha-young?" "Why?" "Well, it's a webtoon launch celebration gift." "It's fine. Buy me one sheep and one." "Why?" "It's just a gift." "What could be the reason for the gift?" Ellie clashed next to her. "Yes. I'm sure you'll love it when you get it as a gift. I'll pick one with you." As she was having a conversation, acquaintances approached and greeted each other one by one. However, among them was an unexpected person. It was none other than Princess Enrique. Dressed in a casual dress, she looked at us and greeted us with pleasure. "I will see you here." Anyway, she went to the company and wanted to say hello. Ellie took her hand warmly. "Nice to see you again, Princess. Just call me Enrique." Princess Enrique bowed her head towards me. "Hello, Senior. Now that I'm in Korea University, are you going to become my junior? Are you sure you want to study?" "Yes. Fun. I've made a lot of friends with her and I'm also learning Korean hard." Taejayu said, "If you can speak Japanese well, you can speak Korean quickly. By the way, Japanese is said to have been learned by playing games. How the hell do you play the game and it becomes natural?" Taekyu and Princess Enrique talked as if they had met after a long time. I looked at it and asked Ellie in a low voice, "Did you think Princess Enrique would come?" Ellie smiled. "Of course. How?" Fjord is a Norwegian jewelry company with a long history. So she thought that the princess in Korea would also have been invited. Ah. Right. She wasn't very interested in this, so I didn't know. I left the two of them talking and told Ellie. Eli also chooses what she wants. She will buy it all. Isn't that too much? This brand product is quite expensive. Read more at wuxiax.com. Don't worry. It's okay to make good money these days. Carlos continued to experiment with driverless vehicles, mainly in Detroit. With the permission of the state government, the pilot operation of driverless taxis has also begun. When a customer requests, the vehicle is dispatched to the destination, and the fee is automatically paid through the app. In case of emergency, the driver was on board, but without any manipulation or conversation, only various data were collected. If it is confirmed that there are no problems during the trial run, it could be officially launched within this year. Although some raise safety issues, it has already been confirmed that self-driving cars have a lower accident rate than cars driven by humans. In addition, as the number of autonomous vehicles on the road increases, information is shared with each other through communication, and the accident rate can be further reduced by judging the condition of the entire road. When Karis skipped the existing ride-sharing step that connects drivers and passengers and went straight to the driverless taxi, ride-sharing companies were very nervous. Evair, the world's largest ride-hailing company, has decided to work with other companies to launch a similar service. As competition ignited, countries began to review the issue of allowing driverless vehicles. Korea is also in trouble. The government's basic stance is that even if autonomous vehicles are permitted as a driving aid, it is premature to allow unmanned vehicles. The biggest problem is still opposition from the transportation industry. Unlike the United States, where unemployed people are re-employing rapidly thanks to the booming construction and manufacturing industries, Korea cannot afford to deal with the mass unemployment of transport workers. If driverless car permits make them unemployed, who will they vote for in the next election? Members of parliament are all thinking about the next general election. As they are well aware of this situation, the freight industry, taxi industry, and bus industry pressured the government to guarantee employment. This is not because of the industry's selfishness, but because of the lack of jobs and the weak social safety net. Once you lose your job, it's hard to get back on track, so I'm going to do the opposite first. However, such opposition can slow the change of the times, but it cannot stop it. There is only a difference between going ahead and following. Another news is that Faceit sales hit an all-time high again. This was largely due to the growth of the existing OTT service as well as the release of Real Doll Annie. Real Dolls sold really hot. Users who used it showed very high satisfaction and continued to purchase related content. Faceit pushed out other companies as it did in the pornography market and started to dominate the global real doll market. It exported not only to the United States but also to other countries, and the second best-selling country after the United States is Japan, which is still called a prosperous country. The antipathy towards me did not dampen my desire for real dolls. In the first place, except for the right wing, the general public doesn't really care about that. Korea was excluded from this anime craze. This is because the import of real dolls is prohibited. In this situation, an incident occurred. A gang who tried to smuggle Annie by disguised as a mannequin got caught in customs. Upon discovering the smuggling, the customs immediately conducted a full investigation on the items reported as mannequins. Surprisingly, several real dolls were found besides the anime, and it was confirmed that some had already been distributed in the market. This incident upset customs and spread to an investigation into an adult shopping mall. The smuggling party was arrested and complained of injustice. I admit my mistake 100 times for importing items by falsely reporting them. But why are real dolls illegal? In fact, unlike drugs or firearms, there was no clear regulation prohibiting the import of real dolls. To this, the investigative agency responded. This is because there is a high risk of undermining society's good morals and significantly irritating women's shame. I wonder what the hell this is, but it is. Due to this incident, there was a strong opposition between those who should allow the import of real dolls and those that absolutely should not. It was confirmed that the gang, which used to smuggle real dolls disguised as mannequins, took unfair advantage by supplying thousands of real dolls to adult shopping malls. Police contacted the buyers, but they all vehemently denied the purchase. The arrested general admitted the fact of smuggling, but insisted that the real doll itself is a legitimate product that has passed various tests in the United States. In fact, Korea only prohibits customs clearance under the Customs Act, and there is no law prohibiting the production or sale of real dolls. Prosecutors struggled with the level of punishment. In fact, the controversy surrounding the real doll has been around for a long time in foreign countries, and the same goes for the US and Europe, which are open to sexuality. It was the world's first VR real doll anime released after Faceit took over Dancing Rabbit, which ignited the fire. In the past, real dolls were nothing more than an evolution of self-defense mechanisms. However, in recent years, related technologies have developed rapidly, and the appearance has evolved to a level comparable to that of a human being, and with the addition of artificial intelligence and VR technology, it has now risen to a level that can truly replace sexual activity with humans. Annie is equipped with human-like touch, temperature, and artificial intelligence that can connect to a network. In conjunction with VR, it was possible for the real doll to move naturally according to the screen visible to the user. In this case, depending on the content, you can enjoy a new play. In this way, he overcame the phenomenon of uncanny valley, unpleasant valley, felt because his partner was not human, and became a sensation among single men. The problem is that this has caused major changes in the dating and marriage markets. According to a survey by a dating company, men who bought anime did not actively seek the opposite sex and showed no interest in dating the opposite sex compared to men who did not. Also, there were a lot of people who frequently chatted with Annie and responded that they felt affection. This meant that more and more users thought of real dolls as romantic objects rather than just for sex, and experts evaluated that the future of falling in love with Al has already begun. An extremist Christian group made a statement and performed a performance in which real dolls were placed on firewood and burned as if it were a witch hunt. There were only a few anime and most of them were cheap real dolls made in China. Women's groups argued that real dolls would accelerate the commodification of women, spread misconceptions about sex, and strengthen paraphilia to mass-produce sex offenders. In the United States, ethical debates continued over how far real dolls should be allowed. This is happening because, despite rapid advances in technology, people's thinking about sexuality has not changed significantly. Whether people don't date or get married under the influence of real dolls is a personal choice and freedom. Therefore, it is impossible to limit it. However, it was clear that a social discussion on this issue was necessary. Although discussions are taking place in foreign countries, Korea is blocking the discussion itself with a ban on pornography and a ban on the import of real dolls. Annie has to be combined with content to show its true value. Even if real dolls are allowed, isn't it useless if pornography is not allowed? The porn industry is growing around the world, and only Korea is implementing a national isolation policy like Hungseon Daewongun. This is all because of the Confucian culture and the 10 scholars. Are you the only MP you can trust now? Everyone's hopes depended on Representative Namgui. Male ear Gajua. While the National Assembly was noisy with the opposition parties and Representative Myung Jin-wook's resignation, Representative Nam Ji-wi proposed a bill to legalize pornography with the consent of minority and opposition lawmakers in the party despite many objections. Considering the social climate, opposition from women's and religious groups, and opposition from conservatives and progressives who value Confucianism and political correctness in reality, it was unreasonable for the law to legalize pornography to pass the National Assembly. Therefore, it recognizes the copyright of pornography, does not punish the production and distribution, but establishes a review body, and strengthens adult authentication and youth protection. Nominally, it was proposed as the Porn Control Act. However, to regulate something and make relevant laws meant legalizing it within the framework of regulation. In fact, the biggest enemy in the proposal of this bill was inside. Representative Shin, who returned to her position as a member of the National Assembly from the Minister of Gender Equality and Family, spoke in solidarity with female lawmakers regardless of the opposition, appealing for the support of women's organizations and raising her voice against the bill. Korea is a country where the sexualization of women, exploitation of women, and crimes against women are serious. If pornography is legalized in a country like this, sexual crimes increase and there are concerns about violations of women's rights, so we must stop it no matter what. It was a logic that had been developed countless times so far, so there was nothing new about it. Of course, no evidence was provided for this. Facit put pressure on the South Korean government in a campaign and lawsuit to recognize the copyright of pornography in alliance with content providers. In the past, Korean judicial institutions have a history of dismissing all copyright lawsuits, saying they cannot exercise their investigative powers to protect illegality. However, regarding the lawsuit filed by Facit against WebHard and Heavy Upload this time, the Court of First Instance ruled that Korea was a member of the World Intellectual Property Organization (WIPO), so it was made legally in a trading partner country, and it is clearly not against the social norms. If it's a video, it's decided that copyright should be protected. As the gap between the law and reality was already widening, there was a clear need to enact a related law. However, opposition from women's circles and religious circles was a huge burden. However, in this situation one incident occurred. Prosecutors caught the allegation that Senator Shin, a member of the United States, conferred bribes by her husband during her ministerial days, and conducted a search and seizure, but found no evidence of bribery, and instead found a lot of pornography on computers. Prosecutors nearly charged pornography for a female actress wearing a school uniform, mistaken for a minor, and this fact was made public and the internet went wild. Hey, I was told that porn should not die and her husband was a porn fanatic. Is her husband's name Kim Bonjwa? Haha, there was also porn that came out in school uniform. Representative Shin Minmi insisted that even if it was played by an adult actor. If it could be mistaken for a minor, it should be severely punished by the Subchung Act, so it can be applied to her husband as it is. According to Senator Shin Jong-mi's logic, the husband who watches porn is highly likely to be a sex crime that violates women's human rights, so we should arrest him. Well then, this is a death sentence. Did you really see it alone or together? Anyway, Representative Myung Jin-wook, too, needs to know about the new politics party. If you have a conscience, step down from your seat of parliament. Resignation. Representative Shin Min-mi shouted that it was unfair, but the public's gaze was cold. Problems with intellectual property rights, pressure from foreign companies, changes in the political structure within the party following the resignation of Representative Jin-wook Myung, division of women's groups that supported Representative Shin Mi, and support from internet public opinion overlapped, and the pornography regulation bill narrowly passed the National Assembly. Although it has to undergo deliberation and regulation, the road has finally been opened to officially produce and distribute pornography in Korea. Wow. I think I'm going to cry. Can adults view adult content now? The day will come when porn will be legalized in Korea while you are still alive. Today is Porn Independence Day. It must be declared as the day of liberation from Japanese occupation. So now you can't download illegally from WebHard and Torrent? Pay the money and see. Huh. Are you saying people who don't have money shouldn't watch porn? Anyway, it is similar to the money you spend on the WebHard or the paid subscription fee for Fassalt, a business where there is only one more left to see when searching for illegal files. Faceit is said to support Korean subtitles in earnest. I need to study English while watching my Western sisters. I should study Russian. Other than that, it was clear that this law contributed to job creation. No matter how abundant foreign pornography is, there is a demand for native pornography in every country. It is predicted that thousands of related jobs will be created in deliberation, planning, production, distribution, and monitoring. Porn companies in the US, Japan, and Europe were already preparing to enter Korea in anticipation of the market opening. Faceit highly valued the potential of the Korean pornography market and announced that it would provide an official service in Korea and start producing Korean pornography. Representative Shin Min-mi said that she would be willing to leave the party if the bill was passed. But when the bill was passed, she changed her mind a little, saying that she would fight and monitor the party until the end. We got together with Hyunju's sister. The case is very big. Don't talk. It's hard to hold on to now. Kids are really growing day by day. We sat around the table and ate and drank wine. I could hear stories about Golden Gate. Chief Chase Southwell will be retiring soon. He has announced his intention to retire due to health problems, and is said to have entered into the selection of a successor. Are you so unhealthy? Hyunju's older sister shook her head. It seems that you want to rest a little more than that. Well, you are old. Even if Korea, China, and Japan are excluded, the Asian branch is still important as India and ASEAN countries are growing rapidly. But there is no one who can replace him, said Ellie. Originally, Jessica should have taken the role, but he moved to Korea. However, he cannot abandon the Korean branch and return to Hong Kong again. Even if things are going well, it's only been a few years since the Korean branch was established. In such a situation, Hyunju Nuna cannot leave her seat. After dinner, I went out to the garden with Henry. Henry clasped Gun-ai with one arm. Seeing it like this, it's very similar. You did something big this time. Thanks to that, all the reporters around the house disappeared. That's fortunate. I nodded my head and spoke softly. More than that, I have a problem these days. Henry turned and looked at me. Is it because of the antitrust laws? Yes. Certainly neither OTK company nor Keras can stay like this forever. Autonomous driving and batteries are the core technologies of the future. Currently, the proportion of autonomous electric vehicles is less than 5% of all vehicles. But what if this ratio exceeds 30%, and one company dominates the operating system? This is obviously bound to be a problem. It is unprecedented for such a large company to be a privately held company. Big IT companies such as NPL, Google, Microsoft, FaceNote, and AMZ are also not free from monopoly problems, but they are listed in the United States and are under the supervision of the United States government. If the growth of the company benefits the interests of American shareholders, there is no need to disband. But Carlos is different. Keris is also unlisted and OTK company is also unlisted. As the market share increases, the concerns about monopoly will grow. Korean chaebols think that the company is theirs because they have grown their company this much. This may be true for a local grocery store, but it is a different story for a large corporation. Basically, megacorporations cannot be built without social infrastructure as the basis. Therefore, they are subject to various government regulations and have to fulfill their social responsibilities. OTK company has been avoiding various regulations by establishing a corporation in a tax haven and claiming that it is an investment company. Meanwhile, the corporate value has grown to the highest level in the world. How long can this situation continue? The amount of money floating around in the global financial market is beyond imagination. Jinho's money is only the tip of the iceberg. But it is unprecedented for one person to have that much money. Perhaps Marcus Crassus or John Rockefeller would have been astonished to see it. If you think about it, it's funny. There will come a day when you have too much money to worry about. In a class-based society, it was a virtue for individuals to live by suppressing their desires. It is to maintain society by playing their respective roles without departing from the established framework. However, in a capitalist society, individual desires are the driving force behind society. Poor people want to be rich and rich people want to get richer. If everyone hadn't worked hard to have more, the society we have today would not have been possible. How much time do you have left? Henry thought for a moment and then said, "It will depend on the growth rate, but at the latest within 1 or 2 years, Keris should be prepared for listing." Although there are still many objections and controversies, Representative Nam Gwi has firmly pushed forward. It is completely different from other politicians who are struggling to get votes in the general election. Many men supported his appearance regardless of the opposition. Even the Liberal People's Party supporters were of the opinion that if Representative Nam Gwi came to the constituency, he would shoot it. When this happened, other politicians added spoons one by one, which led to the feat of legalizing pornography. The Adult Material Regulation Review Committee made a review regulation on pornography and sent it to foreign pornography companies that are about to enter the country. A single company has hundreds of thousands of works. Since there is no budget or manpower to review all of these, each company should select only those videos that meet the regulations and upload them for review. Except for allowing the expression of intercourse, there was no significant change in the review standards for existing erotic films. Ellie asked, "What specifically?" "Attire that could be mistaken for a minor, establishing kinship and doing it with 3 people." "Well, this is not possible." Ellie thought for a moment, then clapped her hand as if she knew. 3. I nodded quickly. "Yes. That's never going to happen." Ellie tilted her head. "Isn't that a violation of freedom of expression? Isn't that better than nothing? It means a lot when you take the first step." Whether legal or illegal, foreign pornography has already been distributed indiscriminately, so there is no big difference. The biggest change is that pornography can now be officially produced in Korea. Fast-paced companies have already moved. Ellie asked jokingly, "When Korean porn comes out, will you also watch Jinho?" "What? Even if you don't want to see it, how could you possibly see it?" "As a major shareholder, I think we should first check how the industry works." Ellie smiled and said, "It's okay to look." "Really? But you have to watch it with me." "Does this mean don't watch it?" "As I was about to go to work, you spoke to me." "Actually, I started a side job a while ago." "Sideline?" I put my hand on Taeyung's shoulder. "Are you short on money? Shall we increase our dividend?" "I'm just doing it out of boredom." "But there was a problem." What problem? Take you looked out the window for nothing. The beginning of this story goes back a few months. It already smells like worms. If no one else knows, you shouldn't. The various explanations I've heard from you so far would be enough for a few books. I have nothing to say about this. I'll explain briefly, so listen carefully. The most famous content companies in the world are Disney and Netplay. Originally, the identities of these two companies were completely different. While Disney is a company that produces content, Netplay is a platform company that collects paid subscribers to stream online. In the early days, the atmosphere was good, with Disney supplying content to Netplay. However, when Netplay took over the market and grew rapidly, things changed. To the extent that the platform can be eaten if done wrong, Disney has responded by creating its own platform. If you think about it, that's funny. Disney, a content company, is jumping into the OTT market, and Netplay, which started with OTT, is pouring money into its own content production. The starting point is different, but the goal is the same. Disney has set up a policy to grow its own platform, such as stopping its content support for Netplay, but decided to provide content for the Cars car as an exception. After all, Disney isn't making cars and Carlos isn't making animations. Cars needs a variety of content for non-driving drivers to enjoy, and Disney wants to dominate the newly opened market. In the field of car infotainment, they joined hands to the extent that their interests coincide. In addition, cooperation in the game field was also discussed. Although Disney encompasses all cultural content such as animation, movies, characters, and amusement parks, it is particularly weak in the game field. Disney also recognizes the importance of games and is active in making games using its own characters. To this end, he created a subsidiary called Disney Interactive Studios and started making games using its contents. But it was not much fun. In this situation, when OTK Games decided to make a Vrmorpk, Disney showed great interest. For reference, Shigeru Ichikawa made a game that featured both Disney characters and their own characters when he was at the Pentagon and made it a hit. Anyway, in the course of this collaboration, Disney sent some gifts to the company, including the Iron Man mask used in the movie. I wasn't very interested, so you took it. So what does Disney have to do with this? I wore the Iron Man mask I received then and started broadcasting on a tube. A tube. Taeyong shrugged his shoulders. You've done game broadcasts a few times in the past. It only shows the game screen anyway, so there's no need to show your face. Well, there weren't many subscribers. So I did it for a bit and quit. I started again this time because I was too bored to sit at work. Besides, with the best computers and all kinds of equipment, I have a desire to challenge game broadcasting again. I also want to show off the Iron Man mask. While I was busy running around with all kinds of things, I was in the COO room wearing a mask and broadcasting on the internet. At first, it started as small as before. It was just a way of sending out the appearance of playing an online game. Then I started doing gacha content. What is it? A probabilistic item. They call it a random box or a lottery. Gacha content is to show viewers in real time how to play smart until a desired character or item appears. I keep screaming until I get the one I want, and I spend as little as hundreds of thousands of won, sometimes over 10 million won. Why are you doing that? Because people like it. It's pretty fun to watch them spend their money until they come out. It's worth seeing how they keep coming out and despairing, and then they burst out and rejoice. It's not something I do, so what's the fun? I'm not what I eat, but what's fun about eating shows? That's why I don't even watch food shows. Then why do you watch porn? Because it's not something I do for fun? I understand perfectly. Taeyong continued talking. The channel name is Super Rich. Are you bragging about having a lot of money? Use L, not R. Let's just move on. Anyway, there were already people running gacha contents on ATube. However, Super Rich's method was a little different. It was the same until it came out, but there was a big difference in repeating the same thing a few times, calculating the probability, and then complaining to the game company if there was a problem and taking corrective action. Surprisingly, however, after such a protest, corrective action was actually taken. Some game companies even posted apologies or provided items. If it happened once or twice, it would be treated as a coincidence, but as this continued, viewers felt puzzled. In addition, Super Rich knew a variety of game information that had not been announced yet, and all of them were correct. Gamers with doubts started reasoning on their own. Among them, the most popular hypothesis is that Super Rich is close to or related to the vice president of OTK Company. OTK Games is currently the most influential in the game industry, and everyone knows that OTK Games was founded with the support of the vice president of OTK Company. And thanks to events such as arguing with the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family over game regulation issues, he has long been a celebrity in the subculture and game world. The Super Rich did not specifically deny this hypothesis. Why don't you deny it? You're really close. Who isn't close to you? Then who is in self-hatred? It's because we're too friendly to fight. In any case, it is said that the fact that he is close with the vice president of OTK Company became a big issue among gamers, and the number of channel subscribers skyrocketed. How many subscribers do you have now? I filmed 500,000 people not long ago. A lot. It's not small. In addition, the rate of increase was enormous. YouTubers who made a living from gacha content were taken aback when a guy wearing an Iron Man mask popped out and quickly attracted subscribers. A bigger problem is that the Game Association has entered into self-regulation regarding stochastic items. There are two main objectives of the regulation. One is to accurately indicate and notify the probability that an item will appear, and the second is to abolish independent trials. Originally, gacha originated from pulling a ball from inside a box. If there are 100 balls in it, if you draw 100 times, 99 of them will come out a bang, but shouldn't one win? However, game companies treat this as an independent trial and apply 1/100 each time. In this way, even if you pour millions or tens of millions of one, you may not get what you want. However, as the regulation was implemented, it was changed so that if it is executed more than a certain number of times, it must come out once. This is welcome for most gamers, but the interest of viewers watching gacha content is bound to decline. When this happened, YouTubers who were broadcasting gacha content attacked Super Rich for nothing. Of course, the party didn't care much, but here comes a guy called Gacha Hunter. What else? He is the most famous among the kids who broadcast gacha content. He wears a mask and broadcasts, but the funny thing is that he claims to be close with the vice president of OTK Company. There are not one or two people in the world who claim to be friendly with the chaebol. There are people who use it to cheat, and there are people who just brag about it. Among them, there are overwhelmingly many people who say they are close with the vice president of OTK Company, because the identity of the vice president has not been revealed. There's no way to know if it's true or not. After Representative Jinwook Myung's case, the number of people who said they were close with the vice president decreased sharply, but Gacha Hunter continued to claim that he was close. However, when Super Rich became famous for being close to the vice president, Gacha Hunter said it was a blatant lie and even talked to the vice president directly on the air. Did you really call? I was talking to a fake, not a real one. Super Rich countered that the fact that Gacha Hunter was close with the vice president was a lie, and Gacha Hunter refuted again, and the party found to be a lie deletes the account and permanently withdraws from YouTube, which has spread to the entire YouTube issue. After finishing the explanation, Taekyu said, "This is how we started making Kasak bread. If I went to work these days and did something, it would have been an YouTube broadcast. Isn't life so much fun?" Gacha Hunter was notorious for attracting aggro and attacking other channels. This is because humanity is a dogmat. However, it is because doing so will greatly help increase the number of views and subscribers. Well, the internet is wide and there are many kinds of customs. It's a world where just being famous makes money. That's why they're not the only ones trying to figure it out. You must have thought that there was no way to prove it anyway, so you must have been arguing with confidence that even deleted your account. Can't you just take off your mask and reveal that you are the vice president of OTK company? Taeyong shook his head resolutely. That's not allowed. The main character has to hide his identity. If that's the case, we shouldn't have started broadcasting in the first place. Why is a guy who wants to hide his identity doing ATube? It was to establish a proper game culture. Then just lose and be crisp. I have no intention of making it long anyway. Taeyong shook his head resolutely. When you quit, you can't beat Kasak even if you quit. Why? That's something my pride as a keyboard warrior doesn't allow. Life is so tiring. Taekyu put his hand on my shoulder and said, when you appear on a super rich broadcast, the vice president of OTK company can tell you that. He's close with super rich and not with Gotcha Hunter. What do you think? Isn't it simple? I was perplexed. Why are you dragging me in? Then who else are you bringing in? Taekyu pulled out something. I contacted DC and got a Batman mask for you. Write this and leave. If I write this and hide my identity, wouldn't it make sense? ATube started as a site where you can easily view videos in any browser. After that, it was acquired by Google, which saw its potential and has grown explosively under the financial support of Google. Today, it has become the world's most famous video sharing site and internet personal broadcasting platform. Some jobs are disappearing due to technological development and industrial changes, while others are created. People who create content on ATube are called creators or ATubes, and popular ATubes are said to be more famous than most celebrities. Their main income comes from advertisements and donations from viewers. It depends on the number of subscribers and video views, but there are many children who make more than 100 million won a month. There are screenwriters, cinematographers, editorial directors, etc., working as a team and sharing the profits. It's huge. Is it that much money? It's also about the rich and the poor. If it goes well, hundreds of millions of dollars a month is ridiculous, but if it doesn't, I can't earn hundreds of thousands of won a year. There are many deceased people who have been active for a long time and have built a fandom. Gotcha Hunter started ATube relatively recently. It originally started with content related to politics and current affairs, but it didn't go well, so it moved on to Gotcha content. It was said that this was a hit and the channel name was changed to Gotcha Hunter. What exactly is the concept? Why did you move from politics to gaming? Originally, that's what internet broadcasting is all about. You do this, you do that, you do this and that. Do I have to be an all-round entertainer? I thought for a moment and asked. By the way, what happens to the copyright for game broadcasting? Broadcasting as a game is not just enjoying the game, it is secondary creation. Taeyong nodded his head. In principle it is, but most game companies allow it because it helps publicity. Some games even support recording in-game. Of course, there are game companies that don't. In the case of Nintendo, they banned all internet broadcasting of their games, and took down all related content from ATube. Right. Taekyu asked, pretending to be friendly. My friend. Anyway, will you come to my show? Well, there's nothing I can't go out, but... Internet personal broadcasting, like social media, tends to unite with like-minded individuals, and has become a battleground between progressives and conservatives. It is to attack the opposing camp by taking advantageous data, statistics, and fake news. It has been a while since Representative Myung Jin-wook resigned. If I were to appear, wouldn't it get up from both sides? I thought for a moment and then said, there are other close friends besides me. Ask that person. Huh. Just because anyone can make a personal broadcast, doesn't mean everyone can do it. Gotcha Hunter had the idea that whatever he did, it would be enough. Therefore, in order to attract subscribers and viewers, we have produced all kinds of stimulating content. During the game, he used profanity, and did not hesitate to attack his opponent personally. Also, he showed off his close acquaintance with several celebrities, and claimed to be close with the vice president of OTK company was one of them. Anyway, he had talent and was able to attract close to 500,000 subscribers in a short period of time. As I was running on such a solid road, a strong competitor suddenly appeared. It was Super Rich. During the first broadcast, Super Rich appeared in an Iron Man mask and gray sweatpants. His voice was slightly altered as to what function the mask had. Up to this point there was no big difference from other creators. There was only one YouTuber wearing a mask and broadcasting games. So there are not many subscribers. What caught my interest was the mask rather than the content of the broadcast. The mask is Iron Man. Is the outfit a sweatshirt? Haha, even Uniqlo. If you're like me you won't wear it. You like Super Riches. When grilled. It was rich, not rich. Sorry. But why is that mask so luxurious? Anyone who sees it will know it's real. The mask is cool. Where the hell are you selling that? Want to buy it too. Tell me where you bought it. Would you like to sell it for 30,000 won? Super Rich aired Lost Fantasy Online and gacha contents were also conducted. The fun factor of gacha content is the mixed joy and happiness when opening the random box. You can feel the fun of flipping cards on a poker board where you bet a large sum of money. Usually, the amount of money spent per video is between several 100,000 won and several million won. Sometimes it costs tens of millions of won, but it is good to say that it never goes to the billions. The reason Super Rich became famous was the God and Soul character selection. God and Soul random box was famous for its extreme odds. Among them, EX-class characters were infamous enough to say that they can only be drawn if they use the tombs of their ancestors up to 3 generations above. There were only a handful of people who authenticated that they actually picked it, and there were even rumors that the game company was manipulating the odds. Today we will pick an EX-class character from God and Soul. Up to this point there were only a dozen viewers. EX-class will never be selected. Even though Gacha Hunter spent 50 million won, he cursed and gave up. It was made to not be selected in the first place. Dog. I'm betting all my fortune on I can't pick one. Young hangs his wrists. Come here. Come here. Unlike other ATubes who usually draw a lottery with one smartphone, Super Rich arranged 5 smartphones and conducted the lottery at the same time. Again, it was all bullshit. Luckily, the SSS class was selected, but the EX class did not come out. But the Super Rich didn't mind and continued. As much as 5 things were done, the amount of money that went into it was 5 times as much. When the amount exceeded 100 million won, rumors spread all over the internet, broadcasting in an instant. Even those who were not connected quickly connected to the broadcast. Viewers quickly exploded to thousands. And the amount soon exceeded 3 billion won. At this point, everyone couldn't keep their mouths shut. How much have you spent so far? Did you write a memorandum of renunciation in cash and rush? It's crazy. I really went all the way today. Breaking news. Super Rich is being wasted. Stop before mom runs and smashes her back. I can't watch it anymore because it's a waste. Give me that money and stop. What are you talking about? If you write this much you should definitely go to the end. Next time it will definitely come out. Super Rich Gaza. Isn't this the game company president wearing a mask? How much money do you have to do that? That's after Gang Jin. It's 100% strong. Absolutely not after Kong Jin Hu. There have been several times when the broadcast time and the press conference overlapped. So who are you? Are you Jin Yongim? Super Rich succeeded in selecting the EX class. The moment the EX class character appeared, the comment window went up and the viewers went wild. But it didn't end here. Super Rich told viewers, "This kind of speculative game is ruining the entire game world. Is this a game or a gamble? We will contact the game company so that we can take corrective action immediately." Viewers wondered what the hell this meant, but game companies really started to change their policies. Some game companies even posted apologies. Next week, the regulations will be announced by the association. In the future, the random box probability will be accurately marked, and the independent trial will be abolished. The Game Association announced the same self-regulation proposal that Super Rich said. What? Is this real? Super Rich changed the game company policy? You look really super rich. If you have money, you must have shouted. By the way, does that mean having a lot of money? As a result, other A-tubes who were running gacha contents were severely damaged. In the past, they were enthusiastic even if they spent only a few million won, but now no matter how much money they spend, it is not as well received as before. Not much fun. No pecking taste. I'll have to watch the super rich video again. That's really great. It was a real SSS level draw. Gacha Hunter, go to Super Rich and learn a few tricks. But are you really close with the vice president of OTK company? The Gacha Hunter information is all wrong and the Super Rich information is all correct. Isn't it a lie to say that I'm close with the vice president? It seems to me that the Super Rich is friendly with the vice president. Gacha Hunter was furious. That bastard copied my concept. He was the first to wear a mask and broadcast a game. However, a guy with a similar concept comes out and threatens his place. Viewers kept comparing them to the Super Rich in the comment section, and even if the Super Rich and real-time broadcasts overlapped, some of the viewers were humiliated as they flocked to them. He slashed the Super Rich and attacked. But no matter how much he clapped, the opponent didn't respond. Instead, the audience reacted. Viewers raised questions and continued to incite the fight, and Gacha Hunter, whose self-esteem was hurt, even proposed deleting his account. Himself was there. It was impossible to prove it in the absence of the deputy representative's identity. And it was clear that the Super Rich had no acquaintance with the vice president either. If there had been a friendship, I would have revealed that fact earlier and used it to promote the channel. The public sniper was definitely effective. As it went up to some internet news, the number of subscribers and viewers soared. Since it will be impossible to prove each other anyway, you just have to enjoy this situation. Gacha Hunter attacked the Super Rich while broadcasting today. Recently, Super Rich stopped broadcasting and uploading videos. Since I don't have close acquaintance with the vice president of OTK company, I quickly hid. I met the vice president once a while ago, and he said it was ridiculous that he was not revealing his identity because of these guys. He smiled inwardly as he saw the number of viewers greatly increase than before. However, the number of real-time viewers, which had been steadily increasing, suddenly began to decrease. The reason is that Super Rich started broadcasting. Super Rich is broadcasting right now. He broadcasts and at the same time monitors Super Rich's broadcasts. Said the Super Rich in the Iron Man mask. Today we will have a special guest. Come out. A man sat down next to the Super Rich. A man in a suit had a Batman mask on his face. The two talked about Lost Fantasy Online together. Unlike the Iron Man mask, the Batman mask is not voice modulated. What kind of Marvel and DC collaboration is this? It's not a collaboration, it's a hybrid. Can Iron Man and Batman be together? Who the hell is that person? But isn't your voice a little familiar? It's like hearing a voice from somewhere like the news. Come on, wait. Isn't that him? Hey, maybe. I think it's just imitation of the vocal cords. During the conversation, Batman said, "Can I take this off? Already? It's a bit frustrating." The man took off his Batman mask and put on his glasses. The comment window that confirmed his face flipped. Ugh. No, that's ridiculous. Is this real? Isn't it synthetic? Or someone similar? Hasn't this person been arrested yet? Why is the person here who should have been arrested for illegal inheritance, accounting fraud, embezzlement, etc.? Wow. Does this make sense? The man who finished his transformation greeted the camera while looking at him. Hello, Super Rich subscribers. This is I'm Jin Young. Everyone was surprised, but the one who surprised me the most was the Gacha Hunter. As he watched the broadcast, he cried out in shock. Why is your brother out there? The video featuring Chairman Im Jin Young remained on YouTube and garnered more than 5 million views. Gacha Hunter, who had decided to delete his account, continued broadcasting steadily after that. What? Why didn't this kid delete his account? Taekyu said as if he knew that. Cassock bread is similar to a body renunciation memorandum. What do you mean? It has no legal effect. So most of the people who don't keep their promises are. Then what? What should I do? It's just swearing and drinking. Gotcha Hunter has become the laughing stock of the whole internet, but he is using it to create content again. However, a few days later, YouTube deleted Gotcha Hunter's account. The reason is that profanity and personal attacks in previous videos became a problem. This is not because of Take-You, but in the end he kept his Cossack bread promise. Take-You said as he recalled. He was a good ATube. It left a lesson to keyboard warriors that it's not rude to eat crispy bread. Everyone will never forget him. It will be memorable in many ways. However, Take-You, who actually won, also stopped broadcasting. It started to get boring and I tried to quit. Later, when OTK Games releases Serana, we should try it properly. I asked absurdly. Are you going to do this again? Let's think. Even now, game broadcasts are like this. But what will happen when Vermorpk comes out? How is it going? All the kids who are broadcasting games will come. According to Yeji, there are 100 million concurrent users. Then the total number of users is several times that number. Well, can be said that this is not only a game but also a global popular culture. Take-You said as if he had remembered something. Can't we just do this? A game broadcast? Take-You shook his head at my question. No. Sites like ATube that broadcast games.